Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Code Clarity podcast. I'm Rena.
And I'm Jean. Today, we want to talk to you or have a little rant at you about how sales aids are just getting bigger and bigger. Just recently, with some of the clients I'm working with, there's sales aids that are like 100 pages, over 100 pages long. Rena, I mean, can you tell me why this is needed?
Well, first of all, let's say we're not ranting at people, we're ranting with people. I feel like a lot of people will probably feel the same pain. And we definitely have seen, because I think we're both eligible to talk about this because we've been in the industry such a long time in lots of varied roles. But more importantly, we've also been healthcare professionals at the other end of this as customers.
Yeah.
So I think we have definitely seen these e-sales aids get longer and longer and longer. And there's actually Viva data, which tells us about sales aids being 100 pages long. And we know there's no sales rep on earth who is going through an entire sales aid with a customer. So I think there's lots of perspectives here. From a reviewer signatory perspective, I'd say we know our clients feel a lot of pain when they're approving such things. Agree?
Yeah, agree. And even if you've got 100 pages long and then all different pop-ups and everything, actually, when that goes into the system, it becomes really unwieldy to actually understand how it's being viewed and used.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just so much duplication. Sometimes these sales aids are just a glossy version of the clinical data. And back in our day, I know that makes us sound really old, Jean, but when we first started out in the industry, it was quite common, right, to have small sales aids and then the clinical papers.
Yeah, and I think you get hear from clients that, but we need to have all this data in here because that we have to do the HCPs want to see the data, so we have to include it all. But I guess what we're saying is, do you really need to include it in your sales aid? If you've got your dare I say it, your promotional claims only, and then you can actually go to the data. I know as a healthcare professional, when I was receiving that information, I would take it and that might stimulate my interest, but I would always go, because I'm a nerd, I would go to the actual original paper to read through it, to understand it for myself. So is there a real, I don't know if I would trust the data or be more convinced by the data just because it appeared in a glossy sales aid. I'd still want to see the clinical trial.
Or rather, surely there's evidence to suggest that the data is not trusted because it looks glossy and, visually more appealing. But yeah, I think, again, speaking as an HCP, you and I are probably the same, that we'd go to the source of the truth. What about recent case rulings? What have the PMCPA said about, healthcare professionals?
Yeah, so I was just thinking that because the case rulings that I'm thinking of. There's been quite a few recently about the impression to the busy HCP. Now, if you're a busy HCP, I don't think you've got time to sit and look at 100 pages of a sales aid. What you're probably going to look at 2 or 3, if that. So what's the point there? So they're looking at the impression of the busy HCP. They need to know things quickly and it needs to be clear to them. And the second thing I'm thinking of is the case rulings that have said that when you provide information that looks like it should be a complete source of information, and yet you don't provide absolutely everything, then that's an issue as well. So are we not causing more problems for ourselves by trying to create these 100-page sales aids? Because you then look like, oh, that's your complete source. But actually, if you're going to be a complete source, it's going to be 500 pages. So let's not go to the 500 pages. Let's just be clear. This is not a complete source. This is the summary. And if you've got any questions or any interest in any parts of these, we'll go to that part.
Excellent. So we brought it back to compliance. In order to reduce compliance risk, our top tip is to give them an abbreviated summary rather than try and do everything. And I think we're probably asking for objection handlers to be brought back in. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, they were useful, weren't they?
They were good old days. I know, exactly. Anyway, thanks very much, Jean.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.